Hello viewers, welcome to the other session of Postgraduate Diploma in Environmental and Occupational Health. Today we are going to discuss about agricultural sector, that is MEVE 003. So in that we have to discuss about traceability in agriculture and food supply chain. So traceability itself indicates that what to trace and then how to trace in especially agriculture as well as food supply chain. So we know that food safety, it has become a growing concern for citizens of many countries including India. So there are so many outbreaks of diseases in animals that could be transmitted to humans also, like avian flu or the presence of chemicals above the acceptable limits in food as well as feedstock, that can definitely threaten both the quality as well as the safety of products. So the need to be able to withdraw or recall the products which are identified as unsafe, that has become more concern as well as essential to protect people from foodborne diseases. So traceability is a risk management tool that definitely proves that food business operators are authorities to respond to such a need. So it is a cornerstone of any country's food safety policy. So what exactly the traceability meaning? The traceability is also known as sometimes one step back or one step forward principle. That means it is the ability to identify the origin of food and feed ingredients and food sources. Particularly if we will think about the products which are found to be faulty. That means if suppose anything goes wrong with any of the food product, then the traceability issue comes into the picture. So the system that allows an organization to document or to locate a product through various stages of operations, commonly known as nodes in the food supply chain, which are involved in the manufacture, that is obviously in a farmer, and also the processing, that is a fruit processor, and distribution, handling of food, and also the food production from the primary fruit production to the consumption. So that means with scientific as well as the technological improvements which are driven by a growing population and also economic settlement as well as economic betterment, we can say that throughout the globe. So food production and distribution systems which are becoming increasingly interdependent, or otherwise we can say that it is integrated and globalized. At the same time, increasing and heavily publicized outbreaks of foodborne diseases that have raised lots of concerns as well as the awareness of the need to ensure food quality and safety. And in daily life also, we will think twice before having any food from any of the source. We will search the internet also which area is better than the which area for having the food. So there are many case studies regarding outbreak of diseases. The very first one, for example, in recent years many food safety incidents that occur all over the world, like mad cow diseases outbreak in especially in United Kingdom in 1986. And of course, once the disease outbreak happens, the subsequent spread to the other European countries as well. So it is a bovine spongiform encephalopathy, that is a BSE, is a fatal degenerative brain disease in cattle, and also it is similar to scrappy in sheep. So it attacks the central nervous system of that cattle and the brain and the spinal cord, that causes the infected animals to lose the muscle control. So they become unsteady on their feet and also become very aggressive, very nervous, or sometimes it is frenzied. So that is the reason the name indicates itself is the mad cow diseases. So mad cow disease outbreak, what will happen? If suppose once the mad cow disease outbreak happens, as a result of this, all beef products which exports as well as they are dropped drastically. So that means this represented an annual loss of around 5 billion US dollars, and the induced cost which related to the loss of cows that amounted to 30 billion US dollars. Another case study, if you will see, that it is the carcinogenic dioxin contamination that affected poultry and cattle in Belgium. So, in Belgium, that is a Belgian dioxin crisis that began in January 1999, when animal feed in Belgium was contaminated with cancer causing dioxins and polychlorinated biphenyls, that is PCBs. Dioxin contaminated feed was then fed to chicken, swine and other food animals, subsequently affecting a large array of agricultural industries and temporarily interrupting the trade with the United States and more than 30 other countries. So, the losses that amounted to more than 10 billion euros. Just imagine that, not only to the loss of the lives and also the monetary loss. And foot and mouth disease that ravaged in Britain in 2001. So, that leads to 7 million cattle that are being slaughtered, and also the losses of it represented a total loss of 8 billion pounds for the producers. In 2003, the avian influenza outbreak in East Asia, which is caused by many Vietnamese deaths and also about 150 million poultry that are died from that diseases. So, obviously, the consequent economic losses which are reached up to 3 billion US dollars. And also, there are so many examples. One more example I would like to give, that is in 2005, Beijing detected many food products which containing a carcinogenic component known as Sudan number 1. And in Chinese dairy pollution also, these events were exposed in 2008. So, these incidents, that means all these case studies, prompted the international community and also the consumers to pay more attention to the food quality and safety issues. Moreover, these case studies have highlighted the need to develop and invest in technologies or otherwise technological innovations that can help to trace food consistently and also efficiently from the point of origin to the point of consumption. So that it facilitates the identification of the cause of non-conformity of a product, and also to improve the ability to withdraw or recall such product if necessary and prevent unsafe products from reaching the customers. So, the International Organization for Standardization that defines exactly the traceability as ability to follow the movement of a feed or food through specified stages of production, processing and distribution. That is ISO 22005-2007 comprehensively explains the principles and requirements for the design and implementation of a feed and food traceability system. So, we can understand that traceability is standardized because the whole supply chain is interdependent and all stakeholders are involved, since the food chain is very complex in nature. One product that can involve several companies from where the ingredients, content and packaging have been supplied. So, everyday life also we are experiencing that we want only certain brands, certain packages, depends upon their quality. So, the food chain that begins with the origin of the food, ingredients and also continues with the processing history and the definition of the batch, links between the manufacturing batches and methods of production and methods of analysis, storage and all these personals involved, the entire supply and distribution chain system. The traceability necessitates the establishment of product integrity, authenticity and also the identification at all stages, including food inspection and certification system, so as to build consumer the confidence as well as the coincidence. And Another important objective for the traceability is to ensure safe food and prevention of unfair trade practices. This is also most important, and for these objectives to be fulfilled, so it is important to have in place food safety management system FSMS and also the record maintenance. So what this standard will do, how it operates. This standard allows organizations operating at any step of the food chain, the first one to trace the flow of material, that is a food, feed, their ingredients as well as the packaging. And the second, what it will do? Second, it identifies the necessary documentation and also tracking for each stage of production. That is a systematic way of operating. And the third, it ensures the adequate coordination between the different actors which are involved, farmers, stakeholders, consumers, like that, and improve the communication among the involved parties, and also most importantly, it improve the appropriate use and reliability of the information, effectiveness and productivity of that organization. So, a traceability system that records and follows the trail as products and materials that come from suppliers, and also it processed and distributed as end products. So, we can understand that the basis of all traceability systems is the ability to identify things that move along the supply chain. So, we never ever realized that whenever we will take the food product, purchase any food product, we never think about all the complex system behind it. So, the basic characteristics of the traceability systems is identification of units, identification of batches of all ingredients and also the products. That is why we will see that expiry date on any of the food product. And also we will see sometimes the registration of the information on when and where these units or batches are moved or transformed. And also what are the ingredients, what percentage, whether it is FDA approved or not. And also it's the system linkage or the linking these data and transferring all relevant traceability information with the product to the next stage or the processing step. So, these characteristic features, that is the identification, information and the links between the supply chain participants are common, and irrespective of the process our products are involved. However, the traceability systems that may differ in the amount of information recorded and also how far, that is a back or forward, the system tracks the information and the degree of precision with which the system can pinpoint the movement of a particular product. In practice in general, the traceability systems are record keeping systems that shows the path of a particular product from suppliers through intermediate steps to consumers. Sometimes it is also identifying the product. So, that may identify other information like country of origin. Sometimes we will think that from which country it came to India. So, we will see that, and then we will also spell out like this is a Chinese product. It is made in Indonesia or it is made in India, like that. So, the country origin as well as species and also species as well as the best by date. So, all these things are associated with the product. So, the traceability systems that range from proper, that is the paper based systems to use of barcoding and also radio frequency identification devices, that is RFID. So, technologies on automatic identification and data capture that allow data to be captured at minimal operating cost. Is there any demand for traceability or not? There are so much of demand for this traceability because in agriculture and food supply chain, there are types of traceability, that is implementing a traceability system within a supply chain that requires all parties that are involved to link the physical flow of products with the flow of information about them, and also adopting uniform industrial requirements for traceability process that ensures the agreement about the identification of the traceable items between the parties without any complications. So, this support transparency and continuity of information across the supply chain. So, external traceability, what does it mean? So, that requires all traceable items to be uniquely identified and information to be shared between all affected distribution channel participants. So, the identification of products for the purpose of traceability, they have so many criteria, that is the unique product identification number and also the batch or the lot number are to maintain external traceability. So, these identification number must be communicated to the distribution channel, those who are working in that, and also on the product labels and related paper or electronic business documents. So, these are most important especially for the traceability criteria. So, what it will do? This links the physical products with the information requirement which are necessary for the traceability, and also the external traceability definitely allows tracing back, that is a supplier traceability, and tracking forward, that means to the client traceability. And another is also that is the internal traceability. That means the processes that must be maintained within the enterprise to link identities of the raw material to those of the finished goods. So, once the product is already reached, so we have to know that what type of raw material used for that particular product. So, when one material is combined with others and processed and reconfigured or repacked, so the new product must have its own unique product identifier. Because used ingredients have other unique product identifier. Once all this processing has been done complete, the new product will also have the unique product identifier. So, the linkage must be maintained between this new product and also its original material inputs like batters or breading or the seasonings or the marinades, salt and packaging materials, and there are so many other inputs are also there to maintain the traceability. And a label shows that a lot number of the traceable input item that should remain on the packaging unit, and also the entire traceable items is depleted. So, this principle applies even when the traceable item is a part of larger packing hierarchy like pallets or the shipment containers or the transportation mechanism. So, all these type of internal as well as the external traceability systems. Are there any technological innovations in traceability or not for the consumer use as well as the supplier use? So, there are so many things are coming up, but the existing are the automated data collection that removes much of the time and expenses which are required for data processing as well as the maintenance. So, gathering the information that is desired for the larger operations manually is very time consuming, because workers must first record the information at the point of activity and then relay this information either manually or sometimes they transcribe and enter the data into the computer system. So, obviously, if it is manually entering, definitely it can lead to risks of the recording the information incorrectly sometimes. Manual errors, we can say that, like errors that occur in 36% of the consumer packaged goods, that is the orders according to the study by the Grocery or the Manufacturers Association in the United States. They have already reported such type of errors that lead to inventory inaccuracies and also stock ruptures. So, if one way or at one point mistake happens, it will carry to the further processes as well. The most traceability initiatives rely on technologies to provide efficient, accurate ways to track and trace products and their movement across the supply chain, like the technology for product identification. And nowadays, if you will observe in the market also, whether it is an apple, whether it is a banana, they have one sticker on that. So, that is an unique identification for that product. So the information capture, analysis, storage and transmission of data as well as the overall system integration. So for such systems, hardware like measuring or the sensing equipment or identification tags and labels with the software. So data collection by using these tools like barcode and RFID is exceptionally accurate, that is more than 99% accuracy is there. So we can rely. So these are the reliable technological interventions. So these tools, they scan, record product codes as well as the lot numbers, invoice data and order numbers and other information in less than a second. That means time consuming also. Lot of manpower is not required, and barcodes is also there. So barcode is an optical machine readable representation of data, we can say that, relating to the object or the product to which it is attached. So barcodes normally systematically represent the data by varying the width as well as the spacing of the parallel lines or rectangles sometimes, dots, hexagons and other geometric patterns in 2 dimensions. So barcodes originally were scanned by the special optical scanners which are normally known as the barcode readers. Later these scanners and also the interpretive software that became available on devices like desktop printers and also the smartphones. So the product traceability initiative use a global trade item number GTIN to achieve traceability. So that what the GTIN number includes, it includes GSI, that is a company prefix, and also the unique item reference and also a number which is compatible with the universal product code barcodes, and also RFID of course, are sometimes human readable codes. So GSI is a neutral, not for profit international organization that develops and maintains standards for supply and demand chains across multiple sectors. So GSI works with the communities of trading partners and industry organizations, governments and also the technology providers, and respond to their business needs through the adoption as well as the implementation of global standards. So the GSI Global Traceability Standard is available on the global website, that is specially in that particular agency website, and also the radio frequency identification device. So radio frequency RFID is also another technology that will insert a chip which is capable of being identified through the frequency of radio waves emitted. Certain RFID devices that even have a memory function, that means that stores data, maybe it enables greater information transmission. So RFID devices are either active, that means that can send the electronic waves, or sometimes it may passive, that means they can only reflect electronic waves from RFID reader. So in many cases, that means apart from using paper tags or brands on the cattle, RFID tags can also be used for the purpose of their automatic identification. So the paper tags, brands and RFID tags, all these equipment are all function as an identifier in such food product or any of such systems. So the function of the traceability system especially is to catch and identify in certain identifiers across the supply chain. So it can identify which is or what is and whether it had been the location of specific item and what codes such item follows or followed that had followed automatically. So everything will be recorded with this number, with this technology. So to realize such a function, tracking systems are also there that collect data strategically. So for example, a wireless sensor network WSN is a spatially distributed autonomous network of sensors to collect and monitor data from physical or environmental conditions like temperature, sound, pressure like that, and to cooperatively pass their data through the network to a main location. So the more modern networks which are bidirectional and also enabling control of sensor activity. Additionally, more advanced technologies may also be used like a geographic information system or otherwise a global positioning system or remote sensing like that. Ultimately, it should go to the consumer satisfaction. So what are consumer concerns? There are so many drivers of traceability. That means the adoption of traceability system is driven by the influences, incentives and also pressures from different sources, like the government measures in terms of legislation that making traceability mandatory in certain markets, and also the customer needs and consumer demands, as also the private sector. So the traceability system is also driven by the generic drivers across the supply chain, legislation as well as these are the mandatory traceability, and also for all business in the food industry. So most legislations that stipulates that companies should demonstrate traceability, but it is not the prescriptive in the way this outcome is achieved. They also usually require only one up, that is the upstream partner or supplier, and one down, that is the downstream partner or customer traceability. That means they do not require chain traceability or internal traceability. And food product safety scares like the avian flu or BSE or red dye or the Sudan 116. So illegal additives as well as the residues have alarmed consumers who expect governments to ensure that food is safe and to handle food safety incidents. So consumer confidence and the imperative to ensure the safety of health is the main driver for the governments to introduce the mandatory traceability. So consumer confidence can be analyzed in terms of human behavior. So there is a stark contrast in the assessment and also the reaction to risks by the scientists. That is logical, there are some methodological and also probabilistic as well as the averages. So general public, that is emotional distortion and varieties of influences to human behavior. So people behave according to the perceptions, but not facts always. So traceability is a key pillar in providing a perception of safety. Further, in terms of firm behavior, the cost of penalties like the infringement notices or the prohibition, seizures, as well as the plant closures, loss of reputation for the companies and also prestige, and also the probability of detecting unsafe food, that improves the cost benefit equipment for the traceability systems. So with these, I would like to conclude this session. In the next session, we will come up with some other important aspects in the agricultural sector. Thank you.